This group is going to speak about the illegal, unreported, and unregulated Fishing Enforcement Act of 2013. You would just want me to do it? Yeah. I probably could, but I don't think I'm going to this time. Come on.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Alyssa Fico, and I'm here to present our final briefing on H.R. 69, the Illegal, Unreported, and Unregulated Fishing Enforcement Act of 2013. Before I begin, I would like to thank my team for their unconditional support and help in creating this presentation, and our faculty advisor, Lloyd Kass, for his continuous guidance and advice throughout the semester. When you think about the serious issues in the United States, illegal fishing usually isn't the first thing that comes to mind, but the situation is actually more dire than people realize. To illustrate that point, we can take a look at New England cod. Currently, up to 24% of New England cod is harvested illegally. New regulations are put in place almost every year in order to combat this illegal fishing, but these regulations are doing little to stem the decline of the cod stocks, which are at their lowest point in the last 40 years. This is because these new regulations do little to discourage illegal fishing. This situation has become so dire that on November 10th of this year, cod fishing for the next 6 months was halted completely. But this wasn't until after illegal fishers cost the commercial fishers $13 million in lost revenue. And in addition to this, the federal government had to subsidize the commercial fishers $33 million in order to cover the other indirect costs associated with illegal fishing. Now that we have seen how illegal fishing has impacted a local community, we can see how H.R. 69 plans to address these issues. So today I'll walk you through the problems associated with illegal fishing and how H.R. 69 proposes a solution. We'll get into our implementation plan, as well as how we plan to track the success of our program, and then we'll end with our calendar and budget for the first year. There are many reasons why illegal fishing is a problem, but one of the most serious reasons is that illegal fishers do not follow fishing regulations. These regulations are put in place in order to make sure that fishing is more sustainable. So when they do not adhere to these regulations, they end up over-extracting from fish stocks. This over-extraction leads to the depletion of the fish stocks, which makes that fish stock become economically and environmentally unviable. H.R. 69 addresses this issue in a way that's not currently done. Instead of tacking on new regulations, it aims to strengthen the enforcement of current legislation. And it does this by unifying 14 already existing fishing regulations in order to standardize enforcement measures, as well as strengthening the penalties in order to discourage illegal fishing. And this will lead to the success of all 15 of those regulations. So we came up with a program design in order to make sure that H.R. 69 was successfully implemented. We noticed that within the Act itself, permit requirements and penalties were up to our discretion to be modified. So we decided to modify permit requirements through enhancing our ability to track and investigate vessels suspected of illegal activity. And we then decided to modify penalties through the increasing in fines and incorporating the criminal process. And this is really going to disincentivize illegal fishing. So first, let's take a look at how we plan to modify permit requirements. We are making it mandatory that all commercial vessels must purchase an automatic identification system through the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. And this AAS tracking device is a GPS-based device that's used to monitor and track fishing vessels. We're also going to put a greater emphasis on the investigations conducted by NOAA and the Coast Guard, and this is while they're patrolling U.S. waters as well as at U.S. ports. Second, we can take a look at how our program design plans to modify penalties. First, we plan to increase fines up to $100,000. And also, we are going to incorporate the criminal process. So what this means is anytime the Coast Guard or NOAA is conducting an investigation, if that vessel owner is caught conducting illegal activity, they're going to be placed on an IUU vessel list, which will be shared internationally by NOAA. They're going to remain on this list. This includes the vessel owner as well as their flag state, they'll be on this list for a minimum of 3 years, and during that time, their port privileges in the United States will be revoked, and the vessel owner will be subject to jail time. So our program design requires that there's going to be a staff increase in order to make sure that our program design is successful. So we plan to increase positions, 3 positions in total, 2 within NOAA and 1 within the Coast Guard. So we're going to increase the oceanographic instrumentation technicians, whose job is going to be to track and monitor those AIS tracking devices that are required for their permits. We're also going to increase the enforcement officers and civilian agents, and they're going to help to place that greater emphasis on the investigation of vessels suspected of conducting illegal activity. To get a better perspective of this, it's about a 20% increase in current staff levels. So these staff increases will have a financial cost associated with them, which brings us to our year 1 budget summary. The total expenses for the first year are going to be $39 million. 52% of that is going to go to be allocated between the Coast Guard's 17 districts, and then 48% will be allocated to NOAA's 6 districts. So we can take a look at one district in particular. We'll circle back to our New England district. We can compare the cost of our program to what it's costing them currently in order to combat illegal fishing. So with our program, it will cost us to pay the Coast Guard $1.2 million for those staff increases. And for NOAA, it will be $3.4 million for a total of $4.6 million. As we have seen before, it costs currently, the government had a loss of $13 million in fishing revenue and a subsidy of $33 million for a total of $46 million. So just looking at these figures, it makes financial sense to switch to our program. It is it is actually 10 times cheaper to use our program than to what they're actually currently doing. In order to track the success of our program, we came up with a feedback mechanism. Every time the Coast Guard and NOAA conduct an investigation, they're going to collect data and put that data into a collaborative database. This way they can see which areas need more resources because they have a higher rate of illegal fishing. This is going to help them target their enforcement. This process will be continuous, and it will allow for adaptation and modification throughout the way. We wanted to see this feedback mechanism occur within the first year of implementation, so we decided to speed up our plan in Alaska. We chose Alaska because it already has one of the most well-staffed NOAA and Coast Guard fleets in the entire United States. So while the rest of the districts are going through the hiring process, we're going to just train the staff that's already there. After they are trained, they will do a data collection and use that data in order to set investigative goals for the rest of the year. This way, they'll have more than 6 months to increase their enforcement and target their enforcement. So by the end of the year, we'll be able to see results and modify our program accordingly. And this is all going to happen before those new program requirements take effect. We believe that our program will be effective at combating illegal fishing because we have seen a similar program be successful in Iceland. Iceland used modern technology such as the AIS tracking devices we're requiring, as well as agency collaboration such as their version of NOAA and the Coast Guard in order to foster targeted enforcement, which led to a decline in illegal fishing, as well as an increase in more sustainable fishing industry. The moral of the story is this: that no matter how many new regulations the government imposes, it won't really do much to fight illegal fishing unless they add collaboration to their enforcement as well as modern technology and increase the severity of penalties. Thank you. Questions? Rebecca?
You talked about the staffing costs. Are there any other costs associated with this, like boats or training or anything else besides just...
Yes. These are incorporated into the staffing costs.
Hi. I just had a small question about the criminal procedure and the fines in general. How did you get to that $100,000 level?
Very easily. It was stated in the bill.
Oh. Well, don't I?